And count me in, Emerson. All right, money grows on the tree of persistence. Welcome everyone to Freedom Friday Live. My name is Daryl, my insurance guy.
Filipino, 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 Filipino. Hoy pare, pakinggan niyo ako. Ito ng tunay na Pilipino. Galing sa baryo sa Pangbato, pumunta ng LA.
Welcome, happy Friday, everyone. Money grows on the tree of persistence. This has been a challenging year for many people, but everyone is pushing through, and those who are being persistent through the trials and tribulations are starting to see the fruits of their labor. So welcome. All right, so we have a great lineup here with us today for the future of finance. And Ruben, you want to take it from here? You're on mute, Ruben. Sorry.
You know, you think I'd be better at that, man. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But, you know, it's live. But yeah, no, thank you so much for hosting today's show. Happy Friday. Happy Freedom Friday to you, Daryl.
Happy Freedom Friday to you too, my brother.
Well, I'm here. Daryl's going to do all the hard work. I'm here to let you know what Filipinos in Productions is all about. We're on a mission to connect, collaborate, and create opportunities for Filipino Americans nationwide. And we're doing that by connecting them virtually and then in person to create that deeper sort of relationship that may not already exist in a COVID separated society that we're living in, Daryl. Isn't that crazy? Like, I feel like networking really hasn't even gotten back to where it used to be, let alone like, you know what I mean?
I feel like this year or this last year is like people started just coming out of their house a little bit more and feeling comfortable.
Yeah, just a little bit more. I still people with masks, which I don't, no judgment here. I just still feel like we're kind of in that kind of isolation, right? So that's why we're here. We want to connect folks. And you know, if you've been watching, thank you. But really, this has been part of a 6-week speaker series, we call it, introducing my son actually into the world of subject matter experts. You know, I had asked him what he wanted to do when he grew up earlier this year, and he said, I want to be a YouTuber. And I'm like, hold on, before you become a YouTuber, you have to learn how to produce video. So we're going to teach you how to produce video. And hopefully there's some sort of osmosis coming from all the amazing guests we've had thus far. But, you know, really the point of Filipinos In, though, is to create influencers from, you know, entrepreneurs and small business owners like yourself, Daryl. I mean, I probably should start referring to you as my insurance guy, right? But it's great, right? Because eventually everyone's going to have that sort of influence that creates business in the future of work, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, hopefully, you know, hopefully we're just this is just the beginning of what's, you know, to be an amazing network of Filipino Americans just representing the Filipino brand. And again, thank you so much for hosting today. It's going to be an amazing show.
Yeah, most definitely. Thank you again for the opportunity.
All right, man. Well, hey, let's transition. Let's make it happen.
Joining us today live on set, a special guest.
So once again, everyone, Daryl, my insurance guy here again, where we help homeowners and business owners be more informed about their insurance, you know, needs in order to make their life that much more, how should I say it, easy when it comes to the insurance world. Now, a lot of people talk about how, man, my auto insurance policy did a wonderful job today, right? But again, we wanted to be a risk advisor to be able to help connect people and help them better understand their coverages so they have a peace of mind when they are away from their home or their business or just on the road with their family. So we are going to be going into talking about our featured speakers today, or featured influencers. And let's transition over to Edward Lago, President and CEO of Our Community Mortgage.
Hi, Daryl. Thanks
Hey,
for
Edward.
having me.
Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, great having to be here, and thanks for the invite, of course, from Emerson and Ruben.
Yeah, feel free. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and the organization.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Edward Lago, and I'm thrilled to be here today. I'm the president and CEO of Our Community Mortgage, where we specialize in residential, business, and commercial lending solutions. And I've had over 10 years of experience in the financial services industry, and I firsthand saw how smart financing can transform lives, and whether it's helping individuals buy their dream home or enabling businesses to scale. So, just a little background on me: I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Accounting, graduated in the Philippines, University of San Carlos, and foundation has been crucial in shaping my understanding of financial strategies and decision making. So, in addition to my work in mortgage lending, I also serve as the president of the Philippine-American Chamber of Commerce of Arizona, and we're focused on creating opportunities for Filipino-American businesses to thrive, particularly in, especially in different industries. And we also support networking and resources. And another passion of mine is nonprofits. And so founded Archemy Foundation, which we provide financial literacy programs, wellness initiatives, and health resources for underserved communities. And I believe that financial and physical well-being go hand in hand. So I'm committing to helping these individuals achieve both through education and access to wellness resources.
Outstanding. Thank you for sharing, Edward. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Financial literacy is the key for people to be able to take those next steps to helping people reach that financial pinnacle in their life. So that's great that you're doing that. So
yeah.
thank you again for your introduction. We'll be transitioning over here to Chris. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. Chris, please feel free to introduce yourself. Give us a rundown of who you are and how and the problems you solve.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually started my real estate career back in 2000 with Remax Real Estate. And again, my parents were both in the real estate field. My dad was a broker. My mom was a loan agent, but they were buying and selling commercial properties as well. So I grew up around real estate, and I started my real estate career again about 25 years ago. So it's been quite a long time. And I also got my bachelor's degree in organizational management. So combine that with the real estate experience that I have, I've been able to help a lot of investors create more wealth by deferring their capital gains taxes. Because when you sell your investment property, if you sell it outright without doing a 1031 tax deferred exchange, the investor is going to get taxed about 30 to 40% or more. On a $1 million gain, that's about $300,000 to $400,000 in taxes that they have to pay if they don't use a qualified intermediary such as us. We facilitate the 1031 exchange. As soon as they sell their properties, we hold their funds until they find the replacement property so that they can roll it over into the next property. But my goal is to help a lot of investors and educate them on the power of creating wealth through the 1031 tax deferred exchange.
Awesome, Chris. Again, thank you for joining us.
You're
Again,
welcome.
it's a pleasure to have you guys here. Again, the future of finance for Freedom Friday. We love to have. Again, what's so cool about what I see every time when I'm part of this show is just like our fellow brothers and sisters in the entrepreneurship world, making changes, accomplishing things, making an impact in our communities, and this is something that's been pretty cool to be a part of and to see it grow. So I'm happy that you guys are here.
Thank you.
Awesome. So let's introduce our featured speaker here today. And our featured speaker is going to be Ellen Rodriguez Swing. So again, Ellen is the founder of Framework Accounting, providing strategic tax and financial solutions for individuals and small businesses. With nearly 2 decades of experience, she's also served as an accountant at Envision Financial Systems and holds leadership roles with the Filipino-American Chamber of Commerce. So she's passionate about empowering communities. Ellen blends financial expertise with a commitment to cultural advocacy and education. Let's all welcome Ellen.
Hi, everyone. Happy Friday.
Happy
Thank you for
Friday.
having me here again. Second time.
There
Yeah,
you
so
go.
Ellen Rodriguez Swing. I am an accountant and I own Framework Accounting. I'm a very proud first generation immigrant who built a career around more than just numbers. I'm also a community volunteer. I'm part of a Chamber of Commerce of Cerritos and Gateway Cities, and you can see me actually in a lot of these events because I am into giving back to the community. So my journey to entrepreneurship is actually from that experience. When I first stepped into entrepreneurship, I thought it was like chaotic, uncertain, but with the relationships that I've built and the trust that I've gained from engaging in these community events, I was able to form my current clientele, and it's growing. And I love helping people navigate the IRS tax laws, the different state compliance and tax requirements. I love helping people navigate through that so that they can concentrate on their main day-to-day operations. And that's pretty much sums what I have career-wise and community-wise. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Ellen, again for joining us. I'm sure with the tax season, well, I'm sure the tax season is still ongoing for you throughout the year with the different, what do you call it?
Entities.
Structures. Yeah, entity structures. So everyone should always have you as a resource. So we're happy to have you. And then also Chris and Edward, at any time, feel free to also chime in with any comments too, if anything sticks out to you fellas. But I want to kick it off with the first question here for you, Ellen. What was an old belief or mindset about entrepreneurship that you had?
Yes. So before, when I first was thinking about entrepreneurship, I honestly thought it was just for the people who had it easy. It was, for an individual like me, especially for an immigrant like me, it was something unpredictable and risky. I needed like a stable job, a stable income. And so I identified entrepreneurship as something that's just inherited from wealth, maybe, from existing connections. And as I started to dive into it, I believe with a purpose and with your dedication, something can be a success as far as a business is concerned. So I believe that most people with a vision and a financial head start, those are the ones who can and stay consistent. That's when I just realized it is possible. It is possible to still be an entrepreneur and have a success, even if I don't have the, like the network, because as I've mentioned, I am a first generation the immigrant, and also the network I'm able to realize it's something that you can work towards, and it's not as scary for as long as you have that purpose, you have the commitment.
Ellen, what was your biggest challenge? What was the biggest challenge for you transitioning into becoming an entrepreneur? Because I know that for a lot of people who work 9 to 5 and they have a stable income, I mean, when I was in real estate, it was 100% commission. So when I transitioned into that, I know it was a big risk, but the risk gave me great rewards. What was your biggest challenge transitioning into being an entrepreneur?
Well, the biggest challenge will be, I'd say the network, because you would have to, it is risky because there's a lot of things that are unknown. But if you have your network of clients and people who can mentor you and people who can give you bridge resources, then when you tap into those available to you, then you can realize it's possible to succeed in a business. So that was a challenge before. I was afraid, but I saw the potential. Just tap into those network and you'll be okay.
And when you say network, Ellen, how did you start? Family, friends, like associates? How did you start getting into these networks? What did you do?
Yes. Thank you for that question. That actually catapulted me into entrepreneurship. So it's actually a community engagement. I became a part of the leadership of a Filipino-American Chamber of Commerce. And when you're a leader, you're not really required, but you have somehow this want to be part of the community engage with them. And so I've been going to a lot of business networks, a lot of the milestone events for different organizations. And, when you exchange numbers, when you exchange contacts, then the next question there usually is, what do you do for a living? Or what's your job? Or do you have a business? And so with me telling them I'm an accountant, one by one, they came to me. They'd reach out to me for help. And I just thought about it. Why not make it into a business? Because honestly, I want to be able to transition to something flexible for me, something that's just not. I don't want to be boxed in a 9-to-5 job. I want to be able to expand, to help more, and also freedom for myself, because now I can command my own time. So yeah, the network from the community engagements was what helped me with it.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Right. Again, if we help people get what they want, they eventually can help us get what we want. Right.
Yeah.
The focus of serving other individuals. And I think when we can look at things from that perspective, it prevents us from feeling like we're kind of being like this sleazy car salesman when we're coming actually from a direction of serving the other individual. Wonderful. Ellen, I was thinking, so you kind of shared a little bit about your old beliefs. Are there any new beliefs that came into place since being in business or through your journey thus far?
Yes. So new belief, right? Entrepreneurship. It's something empowering, because now you have the flexibility, you have the freedom, and you can do a lot more things for the community when you're empowered. So I see my entrepreneurship as something empowering and helping me give more to the community.
It's nice to hear this work that you're doing, because you're all about the community, Ellen. But I was wondering, because I know you mentioned you started with volunteering and helping with a chamber, and later on you started your own business. That's where you grown. But uh, I know you have different goals and things that you want to do for people in your community. But what are these things that you're doing, or what advice are you providing right now? I know you're involved so much within the Cerritos and Gateway cities.
Yeah. Well, I make it the priority to keep learning and to be able to give that pass that information back to the community. My end goal here is to have a successful accounting firm, but also put up a nonprofit arm of this accounting. I'm thinking of maybe offering free services or discounted services, or conduct like free workshops, and also free workshops on capital funding and all kinds of financial matters that will help starting business owner. So that's my end goal.
That's awesome. I've seen even, a lot of businesses after they get it built up to a level of success, whatever that means for them, which I'm curious for you is, but to then build the nonprofit side of it too, as well, to then continue to serve the community through that way. So curious to know really quick if you could share with us, what is your definition of success? Because you said you want to build up your business to a level of success and then build the nonprofit. What does that mean in a nutshell for you?
Success for me is doing something that you love, that makes you stay up at night and excited to wake up to do, and it's still giving you money. That's success for me.
Awesome.
Something that you're excited about, but you're earning money at the same time.
Yeah, that's definitely a great answer. What do you now want to continue growing? Your brand, your business? Is there one that you're leaning more towards, one or the other?
Yes. So I stay active in the community, and I'd like my company to be known as somebody for, besides the for-profit small businesses, I want it to be known as a resource hub for nonprofit, because there's quite a few accountants that concentrate on nonprofit, and it's really challenging to navigate the nonprofit accounting. So I'd like to be known as that, and I'm leaning towards being in the community, staying engaged there, and making a priority of teaching or passing resources to the community. That's the kind of branding that I'm leaning towards.
That's great. And so what is it that you're seeing as a trend for, the finance industry, moving forward?
Yes. So as we all can see, there's definitely a big shift in automation, like AI, and then real-time analytics, and a lot of softwares are becoming available, or a lot of the software companies are updating their own products. And so how we approach bookkeeping and forecasting, we tend to utilize those automations because now we can concentrate on strategies, the strategic part of the business, of doing business. But despite of the technology, there's still a strong need for human insight. So relationships, and good thing about my industry is, even though there are a lot of softwares that will automate a lot of tasks, you still need relationships for somebody to trust you with their numbers, with their books, with their banks.
So Ellen, regarding relationships, regarding AI and technology nowadays, now that you built up your business with the community, and how are you expanding your business using technology with social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok? Are you utilizing those types of technology in order to grow your business right now?
Yeah, so of course, social media, that's the best marketing, because everyone's on the computer, everyone's on the internet. And so, yes, I am tapping into social media. I am part for my business. It's the basic QuickBooks, but then there's a lot of add-ins that I use to be able to make the accounting tasks more efficient and quicker. And a lot of the communications, of course, we do away with the usual snail mail. We tap into different ERP platforms and customer service related platforms. So I'm big about technology. I'm actually part of designing a financial analysis platform for a company, and I believe just we don't have to be afraid of AI replacing us, but if we are able to take advantage of the technology that's being offered to us, I think everything will be easy. Just keep the relationship part of your business intact.
And since you mentioned about AI, Ellen, there are a lot of businesses and professionals who are still not doing a lot of social media. They're not moving to something that would benefit from AI. What advice can we give to these people who they think that it's still working well for them even without technology, social media, and AI?
Well, they're going to be left behind. And I believe just a very few people are not using technology and social media. The only thing that I can advise, though, is so I don't know if that's going to be applicable, just because I know a lot of people, especially the business owners, are already on one of on any social media platform. However, I do want to advise on TikTok, because I've heard a lot of things about the backlash about TikTok. It's the social media for millennials and the Gen Zs, and they are the new the emerging leaders in the business. And if you want to tap into them, you have to use TikTok. Don't be afraid of it.
Yeah, TikTok shop. People are making a lot of money in the transitions there. Very
Yeah.
interesting stuff. So, but Ellen, I was curious to know, given the different people, different businesses you work with, the many conversations you've had throughout the chamber, what are some advice that you would be able to help out, or that you'd be able to provide, entrepreneurs going through it right now?
Yeah, thank you. One advice, because that worked for me, is lean into your community. A community like this, like the Pinoy in Productions community, or your Lions or your Chamber of Commerce community. Lean into them. Don't try to do it alone. Build relationships, ask questions, and stay curious. And then take time to understand your business. Take time to understand, continue learning, because everything's progressing so fast everywhere. There's a lot of developments, especially with AI. You have to catch up with that. And for me, in my industry, and if any of our viewers are considering going into my industry, then take time to know your numbers. They're not just financial data. They tell a lot of story about somebody else's business. And then give yourself permission to start, even if it's not, it's challenging. And then just stay consistent, stay focused, receive. I think my advice, actually, another one, is to find a mentor. If you're just starting in this industry, find a mentor that can help you, because I have one, and I'm learning a lot. And when you have that community, you have the resources, you have a mentor, and then you're just consistent and focused, then I think everything is possible to succeed in your business.
Awesome. I really appreciate that, and I think a lot of other people could resonate with that. At this time, I want to be able for us to be able to transition over to our Q&A section for Freedom Friday. Let's make it happen, Emerson. All right. So tons of experience, a lot of information. We got to learn more about you, Ellen. Any quick comments from you, Chris or Edward, regarding things here? We talked about tech, AI, mentoring, networking.
Yep. I think that there's so many opportunities, especially when you're a new entrepreneur, depending upon what field you're in. There's meetup groups, there's Eventbrites, there's so much education out there available where you can do your due diligence and find out if that is the right business for you, or if you definitely want to enter into that field. There's just so much education, so much opportunity to be able to learn about that industry before actually, going in. So I encourage a lot of entrepreneurs, just like Ellen. She's got so much great advice to just go out there and do it. Just go out there and dig deeper and find out if it's really for you, whatever that business is, and just go for it.
Yeah, and I think I really like the advice Ellen was sharing earlier. This is a great resource here. This show, people are getting educated with certain topics, and of course, experts in certain industries, and also your local organizations that you're involved with. I think it's a good way of giving back to the community or learning more, and you're also able to network and connect. So it's a great thing to always keep in touch.
Yeah, I really feel that, we all been through that journey of when we made that transition, trying to make new relationships and try to figure out, how does this all work? Who's the right people to get in contact with and receive advice from? So again, we appreciate the advice and the experience you've shared with us, Ellen. We did have a question here for you, Chris. Chris, what are some of the common misconceptions that your clients have about a 1031 exchange, and how do you address that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. One of the misconceptions that they have is that they think that they can do a 1031 exchange on their primary residence. So obviously, when you do a 1031 exchange, you're saving about 30 to 40% in taxes, right? So many investors think, okay, great. Well, I'm going to go ahead and sell my primary residence and then buy an investment property. Well, you can't. It has to be investment for investment, real estate for real estate. So that's one of the common misconceptions, is that they can do that. So I'm out there educating everyone, doing presentations, Zoom meetings, everything that I can to educate the entrepreneur. However, there is the ability for the investor who has lived in the property, right? They use it as a primary residence. They can actually turn that into a qualified 1031 exchange if they turn it into a rental, right? So they lived in it for 2 years, they rent it out for 2 years, right? So that's 4 years. At the 5th year, if they decide to sell it, they can actually take advantage of two different benefits. The first one is the 121 tax exclusion, where the first $500,000 of gain is tax-free, right? The remaining balance, they can go ahead and do a 1031 exchange. So let's say they made $1 million in gain. That first $500,000 is tax-free. It goes into their bank account, and that additional $500,000 they can use as a down payment on another property, thereby deferring all of the capital gains taxes and not having to pay any of those taxes on the first 500,000. So you can take advantage of two different tax codes there.
Yeah, well, I can definitely see you be a great resource to a lot of investors. That's for sure.
And many of these investors are your typical mom and pop. And when you invest in real estate, you're an entrepreneur. You're building investment properties. You're managing properties. You are, in fact, an entrepreneur. And many of these investors are your typical mom and pop who own maybe one or two. And you start with one, you sell it, you buy two. That two becomes four. That four becomes eight. And then it just goes on and on. And that's the power of the 1031 exchange, where you can build your wealth just by starting with one condo or one house. In 10 or 15 years, you can have an army of them, or you can have commercial property where you're getting, cash flow every month, passive income.
Right. So it's definitely interesting stuff. So we again, talking about homes and people who may not be ready for a 1031 exchange, and they're just getting started, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of brings me over to Edward. Edward, with the ever-changing landscape of the mortgage industry, what trends have you observed that significantly impact first-time home buyers, especially within a minority community?
Yeah, got it. I think there's a few that I've noticed. There's increase in delinquencies. First time buyers using like certain programs are very common among minority communities, and they're facing higher delinquency rates due to financial pressures like inflation and rising mortgage rates. And then there's also higher loan denial rates. Right now, there's also not a lot of qualified home buyers, and but I'm very optimistic that I think the government's finding ways where it is going to be more affordable for first-time home buyers to own their own properties, especially hoping more positive things, especially for the minority community. Because right now, even for loan officers, there's still an under representation of minority loan officers. So we still lack the minority loan officers, which impacts some of the loan approval rates and the quality of financial guidance for minority borrowers.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it definitely sounds like, more representation would definitely help. Again, just through the education process and just for people to be able to better relate and be able to receive that information. So thank you. And, Ellen, question for you. What steps can community organizations take to ensure that their members are equipped to navigate the digital transformation in finance?
Mm-hmm. So actually, before I answer that question, I'd like to add a little bit more of what you asked Edward about, and what he addressed about a lot of delinquencies among the certain subgroups. So fortunately, the government is really trying to address that gap, and there's a lot of programs that are being offered. either through the local governments or the nonprofit organizations. And the loan officers need to tap into that to be able to help the borrowers more, especially in those affected subgroups. But yeah, your question to me, for community organizations, it's offering a lot of these technical workshops, offer financial literacy workshops, and then partner. I'd suggest partner, and that's what we've been doing, partner with local companies and banks, and also software companies, because they also have their own programming that help with the trends and, like educating about online payments, automation, cybersecurity. So a lot of like my chamber, we actually do a lot of collaborations with these companies to be able to offer these kind of resources to our members. And then, of course, make digital skills part of every program. So like I said, just tap into whatever technology is available, use that to be able to advance into your whatever purpose you have for your business or your organization.
Yeah, most definitely. I know over here locally in Bakersfield, there's a program, I think it's called In Classroom, and ideally what they're doing there is helping people gain the digital skills and then trying to match them up with employers to help them get placement. So it's pretty cool. The next question we have for you is for you, Chris. Again, with the ever-evolving landscape of real estate and finance, what are some of the trends that you foresee shaping the future of the 1031 exchange and investment strategies?
Thank you. That's a very, very good question. So there's actually a couple of things with investors with the 1031 exchange. There is a timeline of when you need to purchase the property. Okay, once you sell the relinquished property, your rental property, you have 180 days total to close on the next property. The first 45 days of that 180 days, you have to identify the property you wish to purchase. But with the low inventory on the market, a lot of investors are fearful that they don't want to sell their property, their investment property, because they may not be able to find anything within that 45-day period. That 45-day period goes by just like that. So if they can't find anything, then it's a failed exchange. So we see a trend of investors doing what's called a reverse exchange, right? A reverse exchange allows the investor to purchase their replacement property first, close on that property, right? They locked it in. Opportunity is knocking on their door, and they find a property that they absolutely love. And then it gives them time to sell their relinquished property, which helps them out because now they feel great. They're the ones who identify the property that they absolutely love, and it gave them time to sell the relinquished property. So we see a lot of increase in reverse exchanges, but also for a lot of investors, a lot of the baby boomers who own a lot of the wealth in real estate are not wanting to do a 1031 exchange because they don't want to purchase more investment properties. They're tired of the tenants, the toilets, the trash, and the turmoil. Trust me, I've been around real estate all my life, and I've had to deal with all of that. So the question you ask them when you're talking to them is, how do you like being a landlord? You just be quiet. And then they talk to you and tell you about all the horror stories that they have. So for a lot of those investors who are in their late 60s, 70s, 80s, and into their 90s, they don't have to buy more real estate, traditional real estate, right? When they do the 1031 exchange, they can actually go and roll it into what's called a Delaware statutory trust. And what that is they're able to roll that, let's say it's $1 million gain, they're able to roll that over into this DST, which is a syndication, okay? A syndication, and it's a portfolio of real estate, whether it be senior housing, student housing, multi-families, hotels. They own a fractional ownership of that portfolio of real estate, and they get a passive income on a monthly basis without having to deal with any more management. But they're in there for 5 to 7 years. They lose all control over management. They don't have to manage it anymore, but they have no voting rights. So at that point, when that 5 to 7 year period ends, they can roll back into another Delaware statutory trust, right? Because they're getting some really good returns on their investment, and they're getting passive income, or they can go to traditional real estate. So those are some of the kind of trends that there are. And a lot of investors don't know that they can actually go into a Delaware statutory trust where they can actually be free from the tenants and actually start enjoying their life. So that's what I educate people on, that is an opportunity. And a lot of people don't know that that opportunity is there. So hopefully this will encourage them to learn more about it, and I can tell them more about it. So
Yeah, most definitely, Chris. Again,
yeah,
wealth of knowledge. I'm sure a lot of people have a lot more questions. I'll probably reach out to you too, because
yeah,
I never heard the reverse exchange. So that's pretty cool to hear.
yeah.
Question over here for Edward. Edward, looking ahead for yourself, what innovations do you foresee becoming integral to the mortgage industry? How is your company, preparing for these potential changes?
Yeah. So thanks for the question, Daryl. So I think we're a mortgage lender and a broker, so we work a lot with wholesale lenders, like the number one mortgage lender in the country, United Wholesale Mortgage. So we get a lot of updates, changes, and right now we do even have some new things that we're learning. We're getting the industry. Let's say, for example, for our loan officers, you need to learn certain rules or regulations or anything, highlights on the program. It's almost like a chat GPT, and we take advantage and type it down, and we get certain answers. So with this type of change, we need to keep up with the changing environment. This only started a few months ago, and then this time we even for some reason we already even have, and I haven't tried it. We have our partner create an AI who calls for some of our clients for increase or anything like that. So it's just a matter of keeping up with all these changes and making sure that our company is preparing, and we're also making sure our loan officers are equipped and knowledgeable about these changes, and then that way we can apply it for a better and smoother transaction and transition of our clients.
Awesome. I think a common theme based on, everyone's response and even hearing from Ellen as well is that, as business owners, we are in this constant, I don't want to say flux, but in this constant movement of change, right? The things that are very consistent or, foreverly consistent is taxes and death. And now also I want to include growth in that, because it's like we're always adapting to different things that are happening in the market, technology, things like that. So, question for everyone here is, if you guys could instill one advanced financial principle, such as compound growth, taxes, tax strategies, capital efficiencies, into the next generation professionals, what would it be and why? And we could start with you, Ellen, if you like.
Yes, thank you, Daryl. So, as an immigrant accountant, I think it's going to be the capital efficiency. It's the ability to do more with less, and it's coming from my background where resources weren't always abundant. And I've learned that success doesn't come from how much capital you have, how much how much time you have, but how wisely you're managing those resources and moving forward. And so for me, capital efficiency is about making intentional decisions and avoiding waste and building sustainable systems.
Awesome. Let's transition to you, Edward. How about yourself?
Actually, I was thinking of the same thing, capital efficiency, because it would be pretty much the financial principle that I'd like to instill in the next generation. It focuses on maximizing returns from every dollar invested, and whether we're having through smart investment or efficient business operations. Mastering this would allow businesses to grow faster and individuals building wealth and more effectively, of course.
Wonderful. And then for you, Chris, how about you?
So that's a very good question, and I encourage all the investors actually who have real estate to really look at where their financials are with their cash flow and return on investment for each and every one of their properties. Because many of these investors think that they're getting a higher rate of return when they're really not. You know, especially with the increase in cost of maintenance, the increase of insurance, you know, all of that eats away on all of the cash flow. My mother spent about $125,000 last year to update the roof and all the electrical systems within our 8-unit apartment complex. And that ate up a lot of that cash flow. So I encourage a lot of investors to just sit down with a financial planner or their CPA to go over all the numbers and find out exactly how much of a return on investment they're actually getting, how much cash flow that they're actually getting, and look at other opportunities using a 1031 exchange to increase that return of return. And also start looking at the Delaware statutory trusts, because on average, it's the Delaware statutory trusts do give you a net return of about 4 to 5%. But guess what? No more tenants, no more toilets, no more trash, no more turmoil. You're free from any of those, managing any of that, those things when it comes to real estate. And you don't have any of those headaches. You can be free from that. So I encourage you to just look at all of your properties, do an analysis, and look at all these other opportunities that you can utilize using the 1031 exchange to get you to that freedom, to get you to a higher rate of return and higher cash flow.
Most definitely. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, kind of tying it back to what Ellen shared initially in her story of, having a network of individuals who like specialize in the different aspects of your business or what your goals are, and be able to connect with those individuals. So then, you could have that expert to be able to, give you that sense of direction and confidence of what you guys' plans are for the future. So wonderful. Thank you guys for sharing your opinions. I want to be able to make a transition over to our upcoming events here. All right. So our next upcoming event is going to be the future of healthcare here. This is going to be, you could see who I believe Oliver here is going to be our next featured speaker. So again, definitely save the date next Friday. And then with the future of music, again, I believe we have Sarah here, so definitely chime in for that as well. And then we have here July 1st, our Mixer event. Again, this is to be able to help us all connect, collaborate, and create. Again, this is going to be our very first Mixer. And so stay tuned for additional details on that. All right. And Philippine Independence Day. So there's going to be a festival and parade. Again, free entry happening on Saturday, June 7th of 2025 over there in Massachusetts. Again, you can see down below all the socials to be able to get more details regarding that event. All right, and with the Earthland Building Sustainable Legacies, again, we want to give them some recognition here, and Charles Santiago as well. All right, and then here we had the Una Apartments, and we just want to say thank you again for you guys joining us here on Freedom Friday Live. Again, I hope you all had fun joining in, learning more about Ellen's story today. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Edward. Thank you, Ellen, for joining us today. Again, what are some final takeaways that you guys got from our gathering here today?
I think just going out and making it happen. And with Ellen, it's very encouraging to see her using the community to actually get her business started. And that's what you do. It's all the networking that you do and doing your due diligence and just going for it. I think you just can't be afraid. If freedom is what you want and you're able to find your passion and as Ellen says, also make money doing it, wake up the next day feeling great about what you're doing, then you're living the American dream.
I agree with you. Edward, how about yourself?
Yeah, I think for everyone, stay educated about your finances, whether it's through reading or seeking professional guidance. We got the different experts here in this show today. 1031 Exchange, you got Chris. You also have Ellen with Framework Accounting. And if you guys have any advice on financing, lending, and that's me, Edward. So just remember that financial health and personal well-being go hand in hand. And so we want to prioritize both. Keep learning, stay flexible, embrace the opportunities that come your way, and of course, take advantage of resources you have within your community, as what was emphasized earlier. And of course, thanks for having me here as well. And great having to connect with Daryl here. Great knowing him, and looking forward to more of any engagement or meetings that we could have in the future.
Outstanding. Yeah, thank you again for coming through. Ellen, final takeaway from
Yes.
our overall.
Thank you. Yeah. So my takeaway here is empowering the communities, like this community of experts through education. And yeah, that's my takeaway. Keep on engaging in these kinds of communities, then receive knowledge and information.
Outstanding. With us being able to gather here today, this is just another awesome way where we could leverage one, technology, right? Two, the networks of networks, because we all met through Ruben, right? And we all found a way to connect, and we all come from different industries, and that's what allows us to be that much more resourceful as well as valuable to our community in our respective areas, right? I never had a 1031 exchange direct contact. Now I do. Right. And then it's awesome to hear that with Ellen and Edward both being part of the Asian or Filipino Chamber of Commerce. I'm actually wearing my volunteer shirt with the Kern County Asian Chamber of Commerce. If I have any questions there, I have someone to talk to now. And that's the serendipity, I think, of us gathering here today, is just that you never know who you're going to meet. But I think if we're coming out, we're coming out and showing up with the right frame of mind and in a good place, trying to say, like, with our heart, we're just showing up right. To serve, trying to educate, like Ellen says, empowering people. You just don't know what's just going to come from this. It's like what is it? The seed. What's that seed? The one that can grow in the rock and break the boulder.
Mustard seed.
Poppy seed. Isn't it a poppy seed? Mustard seed. You said it. Yeah, a mustard seed, right? Now, faith of a mustard seed. You never know what's going to happen. By showing up, you can see that happen. I don't know. Can you guys relate to any of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just starts with that seed and it just blooms. You just have to just keep watering it and just keep, talking to your plant and motivating it. It's going to grow. There's just nowhere to go but up. There's nowhere to go but just moving forward and being successful. So it just starts out with that seed, right? You just got to keep watering it. You just got to keep feeding it, and then eventually it's going to bloom into a successful business like Ellen and Edward. And I'm definitely gonna I need to talk to Ellen and Edward, because I definitely like to refer clients to you. Connecting the Filipino community together. This is what we do. Now I have a CPA, and I actually used to live in Cerritos. I lived there for like 15 years. And that's pretty interesting that you're coming from the Cerritos area. And Edward, there's clients who need loans for their upleg property with doing a 1031 exchange. And I'd like to talk to you more both about that, so that I can send you guys referrals as well. So that's my plan.
Yeah, absolutely. We should keep in touch. I'll be getting all your information, Daryl and Chris and Ellen.
Perfect.
Yes, this is exciting. Our network is coming together stronger with different kinds of expert leaders. I'd like for it, Ruben just mentioned Cerritos has a lot of great restaurants. So hopefully we can do this in person. I mean, this is a great platform for the ever evolving, faster growth of the whole world, doing this kind of a talk show online. But sometimes we just need to have in person. I believe we're gonna have an upcoming. Is it an in-person business mixer on July 1st that was announced earlier? Hopefully, we can do that in Cerritos.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like it is going to be happening here in person on July 1st. Details, though, are to be determined.
Can I just come in here? I have to add something.
Go for it.
For sure, I know all each of you have connections to Chamber of Commerce's. I think the way that we really make this a reality is by utilizing maybe the platform to connect each chamber together, because maybe each chamber doesn't realize the power of connecting with each other, in the sense that we can have this nationwide presence. You know what I mean, it's really just about bridging the gaps between those, different communities and different organizations, and really just coming together. So I see it happening already. It's gonna happen. We're gonna do it. So again, I really appreciate all you guys for being on the show.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me too, Ruben.
Of course, you guys did it amazing, and it wouldn't have happened without you. And I want to just thank Daryl one last time for being the man and running the show today.
Thank you, Daryl.
You did a great job.
I need to talk to you about insurance, though. Definitely, all of you. I need all your contacts so that I can start referring to business.
There you are, right here.
All right, you guys. Well, until next time, we'll absolutely connect and create opportunities together.
It was a pleasure meeting everybody, and I hope that with all of us together, we can help the Filipino community and the entrepreneurs within our communities to be more successful. So thank you.
Most definitely. All right, guys. Well, thank you again for showing up today. Just being vulnerable, sharing your expertise, and thank you again, Ruben, for connecting us all here today.
Thank you, Ruben.
That's it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Edward, Ellen, Daryl, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you all.
Okay.
Think about finance as more than just numbers. It's a platform where you can learn how to manage money, build wealth, and at the same time, spotlight your brand and share your journey. Filipinos in Productions brings Filipino-American professionals in the finance industry together to connect, collaborate, and create meaningful opportunities. We open the floor for real conversations about money, mindset, and making an impact. To get connected, call or text 781-399-5433 or email support@filipinosin.com.